The biggest motivator was COVID. I was sitting across from my wife, a pregnant wife at the time, where we had our oldest in the living room because we had to pull her out of daycare. I got really nervous, not really knowing what was going to happen, and realized that if something were to happen to either one of us, then it would put the other one in a bad financial spot. So really decided to go all in, pulled money out of my retirement account, my wife's retirement account via the CARES Act, and just did long distance BRRRRs.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Freedom Blueprint. I am Adrienne Green, and today I'm excited to have with me here Jon Chan. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode.
And thank you for having me.
Now, I have known Jon for a few years now, and so I am excited for him to share his investing journey. I think there's a lot of lessons to learn here, and make sure you stick around because he's going to tell us about partnerships and different kinds of partnerships and his wisdom there because he's done a really great job of making a whole system for his investing now with everybody working in their zone of genius. So stay tuned to hear all of that wisdom and how you can next your results by partnering. Now, Jon, let's start at the beginning. How and why did you get started in real estate investing?
So real estate investing was something that I never really thought that I could do. I went to school with an accounting degree and worked my way up the corporate ladder, moved over into consulting. And then my dad had some properties and asked if I wanted to take them on as a property manager. And so, yeah, decided, sure, why not? I like real estate. This will be a great way to learn. And then I was doing that for a couple of years. And I had heard that you get rich in real estate, but when I was running the numbers, it just didn't make any sense. So I YouTubed how to scale in real estate and realized that owning rental properties is one piece of how you build wealth. And so I really got started going through bigger pockets and learning the BRRRR method and how to acquire properties in different ways. And really the biggest motivator was COVID. I was sitting across from my wife, a pregnant wife at the time, where we had our oldest in the living room because we had to pull her out of daycare. Got really nervous, not really knowing what was going to happen, and realized that if something were to happen to either one of us, then it would put the other one in a bad financial spot. So really decided to go all in, pulled money out of my retirement account, my wife's retirement account via the CARES Act, and just did long distance BRRRRs.
I love how you jumped in, realized there was a problem and you were going to solve it. And what was your first real estate investing strategy that you did personally?
First thing I did was the BRRRR method. And where I lived in Northern Virginia, the numbers didn't really make sense in terms of what I was looking for, which was cash flow. Like if you buy a house in Northern Virginia, it's going to appreciate like crazy, but you're going to be negative in rent. And so I went on a journey of what city I wanted to invest in and just ended up picking Huntsville because I had been there for work. I saw the place called Research Park and there's a huge military base. So I figured pretty stable economy and the prices were still pretty low at the time. So it was just finding an agent down there who invested themselves and then finding houses that needed to work and just started doing that.
And how did BRRRRing go for you?
So for the most part, it went really well. I ended up getting 5 houses in the Huntsville area, 2 in the Chattanooga area. The one that my wife found in Chattanooga was actually the best BRRRR we ever did because we were actually able to get all of our money back out, even with all the headaches that we had to deal with our contractor there. And then at the tail end, the rates started to spike. So I had moved over into Baltimore and they were okay. Like they still cash flow, but not as profitable as I wanted. So ended up ending my BRRRR journey there.
Well, and I know you did run into challenges with BRRRRs. Like it's totally normal, right? It's a strategy that can give you a great reward, and yet it comes with some risks. And I think when people run the numbers on paper, they don't realize all of the kinds of headaches that can happen. So are you open to sharing, 1 or 2 kind of speed bumps that happened on your BRRRR experience?
Yeah, I mean, I have a ton of speed bumps. One of them was a foundation fix. I did 2 foundation fixes in the Huntsville area. So the first one was supposed to be $14,000 fix and was supposed to take, I think, like 2 weeks. Luckily, it was only like $15,000 because they didn't need an extra, beam, but I had to put in gutters in the back so that the water would stop running into the back of the house and dropping that house. Didn't realize that when you're doing the foundation work, you can't do anything on the inside of the house. So that slowed down the renovations. The other foundation fix same thing. It was supposed to be a $24,000 fix, but in 3 weeks, it ended up taking about 2 months because of the weather and all these different things. And now having to go back and rip out all the subfloor and redo that because the vents were not allowing enough airflow, even though I put down the vapor barrier. And so that's another one. The contractors in Chattanooga, for whatever reason, it was supposed to take a month, ended up taking 6 months and I think 4.5 times the amount of cost to renovate. I ran into a lot of issues, but the same time, like I'm still better off now having them than not, and a lot of lessons learned too.
Right. Great wisdom on that. Like things popped up. It wasn't a smooth journey. And yet, in the end, it's still a win.
Yeah, and a lot of it is because we had, my wife and I had good paying jobs. I think I see a lot of people where they see, well, you can buy a house with no money down or no money out of pocket, but it doesn't mean you should have no money in the bank either because
Right.
things pop up. So if you plan to buy, then you got to have good income to cover all of these unexpected costs.
Right. I mean, I think of burring as it's a high reward
Mhm.
strategy because it's a high risk strategy. And one of the ways you can mitigate that risk, like you said, is you have an alternative income source, right? You have other money you can bring in, not if, but rather when things get more expensive than planned, right?
Exactly. I mean, $10,000 for $45,000 is a huge jump in cost. And if you're struggling financially, buying probably isn't the best way to go.
Right. Well, there's a lot of great wisdom there on burrs. Now, I know you ended up moving on to it or pivoting to another strategy. Can you talk about why and how you did that?
Sure. So July of 23, my mom decided that she wanted to retire. And my first thought was get her into real estate, right? So just took an audit of her financial situation and saw that she had a lot of money from old retirement accounts that were just kind of sitting there. So I moved all of her money into a self-directed retirement account, which then allows me to then pick different alternative investments, right? Something other than stocks and bonds. And while that was opening, was just running the numbers. Does it make sense to turn her into a landlord, even if the houses are paid off? I don't think so. So I just looked for other ways out where she would be able to take advantages of the tax shelter that a retirement account has, but also get consistent returns and
That's
really landed on lending because I mean, you always hear that the banks make the most money. So why not just turn my mom into the bank? And, having a financial background really was helpful because then I understood equity and interest rates and all that. So it made it very easy transition for me to go from being a landlord into becoming a lender.
awesome. I love how you share there. There's so many ways to invest in real estate, and it's really a matter of what your situation and what's best for you. And so, your mom's situation with the retirement funds, lending was a perfect fit, and you were able to help her with that.
Yeah. And then, I mean, seeing the amount of work that I had to put into it versus how much money she was making made me realize that maybe I should be doing the same thing because I have all this equity in all these houses now, but I'm also dealing with a lot of headaches. Why not just lend myself?
So what did that look like? Did you decide to sell houses? Did you do some HELOCs or what did you do?
Yeah, so I thought about it because I mean I bought when a lot of the rates were low. So I was thinking, well, if I do a cash out refi, I can pull out X amount of dollars. And but then I have this monthly bill that I got to pay every single month. It increased, right? So then my spread on the amount that I lend versus how much I get to keep, I didn't really like and was kind of tired of being a landlord as well, just because of the number of issues I've been dealing with. So I'm actually in the process of selling. I have one that's closing in 2 days. And yeah, I'm selling them off one by one and then using the money to then lend.
Now, how long have you been doing the lending though? It's been a little while, right?
Yeah, so it's been about a year and a half. We funded about 32 deals and have learned a lot and really honed down on really realize that whatever it is that you do, no matter what strategy you pick, you should pick a very small niche first and then expand into other things.
Right. Yes. And what I'm hearing too is that, you didn't decide, hey, I wanted to do this lending thing and immediately sell all your properties and transition all the funds. You got started with what you had, you built up expertise, you got, reps in, and now you realized, hey, I know this is a tried and true strategy that I'm going to pivot to 100%. Does that seem like a fair description?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest reason why I didn't sell to begin with is because I wanted to make sure that my mom's money was protected. And for me to hold on to assets and make sure that my balance sheet was asset heavy, could then say, like, well, if something were to happen, then I could sell my portfolio and then, pay her back. But now I'm just getting to the point where I'm done being a landlord at the moment. So now it's just time to unload everything.
Right, that makes sense. What does your private lending look like?
So I have done everything from first position, short term, to second position, long term. One of the biggest things is I see a lot of people that are making mistakes. They think, again, that you can get into property and real estate with no money out of your own pocket in terms of ownership. And so I've seen a lot of people make mistakes and a lot of people lose money. So I've kind of cut down my lending to just be one type of loan, which is first position only in one market with a super experienced operator. Experience is something that is, I see it like as undervalued in a lot of ways, because everyone wants to scale quickly, but that causes a lot of problems. So someone that's been doing this for a long time is where I've focused all my energy.
Hmm. And is there a certain type of loan you're doing now? I know you said you did a broad range before.
Yeah, so they're all short-term, first position, all on single-family homes. Very simple, very easy to rinse and repeat, all in the Atlanta market because my partner knows it really well, has been doing it for 27 years, and it just makes life really easy that way.
Right. And what I'm hearing with that too, with like you niching down, is you have managed to avoid, I think, the something that is tricky for a lot of real estate investors, which is shiny object syndrome, right?
Right.
You've found one thing, and you're just sticking with it. Can you speak to like, do you ever think about doing a different market? Do you ever think, ooh, maybe I want to do that instead? Or how are you able to stay focused on this one thing and not get distracted?
Yeah, that's a good question. The biggest thing is my partner's been doing this for 27 years and he's never had to leave his market. I mean, I've heard other private lenders do the same thing. Like, I don't know them personally, but when I talk to, like, when I network and connect with others, I've heard someone say, like, they'll never leave Houston or they'll never leave, Philly. And if these people can make hundreds of millions of dollars in one market, it means there's more than enough opportunity. And I mean, even from my own experience, I have houses in Huntsville, Chattanooga, Baltimore, Ohio, and it's a huge like administrative headache having to keep up
Mhm.
with all the different rules and regulations. If I had just picked one market, my life would have been a lot less stressful and I probably would have made more money. And so, yeah, really niching down to one area is really underrated, in my opinion.
I think so too. I think so too. We all tend to think the grass is greener and hop to a new market. So,
Yeah.
very good point. Now, I'm sure what a lot of listeners are wondering right now is how did you find this operator with this 27 years of experience?
Being in a real estate community and then networking. I mean, when I met him 3 years ago when I had first joined my real estate community. And I didn't really think that we would ever work together. He was light years ahead of me and still is. But I just kept trying to bring him value. And eventually one day just asked, like, if we were to work together, what would it look like? It's just kind of how it happened.
Right. Because what's the worst that's going to happen? They say no and you're right back where you started.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now, I know you're not based in Atlanta. So were you meeting in like an online community or what did that look
Yeah.
like?
Yeah, it's an online community that's pretty much international. It's mainly US based, but there are some people that are, overseas. But yeah, I mean, the power of the internet, like you and I are meeting and we're across the world, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, is sometimes things aren't always to your benefit in terms of just like if I go through a foreclosure here in Florida, I hear it's a very lengthy process, but in Georgia, it's like a month or two at most. And so yeah, your location doesn't really stop you from doing real estate transactions.
Now, let's talk more about partnerships. I'd love to hear, you partner with a lot. You partner with this operator, you partner with other, passive investors who are bringing your funds. What would your wisdom be overall with like having successful partnerships in real estate investing?
There's a lot. It's understanding each other's values. I guess the biggest thing is understanding your own strengths and what you want to do and what you bring to the table. I
Hmm.
spent a lot of time just kind of looking outward and not so much time looking inward. It wasn't until May of 24 when I just started trying to figure out, okay, what am I good at? What do I want to do? Where are the, I guess, bottlenecks? Because I was doing this on my own for a very long time and was able to accomplish a lot. But when I finally started to partner, it was when I was able to accomplish more and do more. And at the same time, like I ran into a lot of issues with different partners. Some of them, well, I would say my fault because I just didn't know what I didn't know. So one of the biggest things is knowing what is it you want to do and what you're good at. And then finding people that complement you. Like if in my case, lending is what I want to do. So one of the biggest things that we need is our deals. And so I find someone who's an operator who knows who knows the area, knows the market better than anybody else. So then I bring him value by bringing him capital. And then when I was working, one of the biggest bottlenecks was underwriting. I don't enjoy that. Operations, I don't enjoy that. So then I found someone that is good at it. Our values align. We didn't just jump into a partnership right away. We worked together for 6 months first just to see how we interact with each other. And before we even started that conversation. So, I mean, getting to know who you're working with, getting to know yourself, because you are getting into a marriage when
Right.
you work with partners.
All right. Taking as much time and effort as you would to choose a life partner. Very good point.
Hiring a virtual assistant shouldn't be a guessing game. If you're ready to offload time consuming tasks and scale your real estate investing business, my Real Estate VA Launchpad course gives you the exact roadmap to find, train, and manage high performing VAs. Learn how to delegate like a pro and take back your time. Enroll now at adriennegreen.com/courses, and you'll find that link in the show notes below.
Now, let's talk about the other side of it because you have these people who want to be passive investors who
Mhm.
come and you guys partner together where they're bringing capital to the deal and you're helping connect them with the deal, right?
Right. Yeah. So the way that I got started with lending was through my mom. And then I saw the money she was making. And I have a lot of friends back in Northern Virginia who all make good money because of the area and are putting their money into CDs. So I started bringing them in on lending opportunities as well. But one of the things that I wanted to make sure was I want everyone to make money. And in order to do that, I have to find a way to protect them. And one of the ways was to personally guarantee all of their loans. So no matter what happened with the borrower, if I had to, I'd have to write a check, make them whole, and just take the hit, which was, great for them. But then I realized that I was putting my own family, like my wife and my kids, at risk, right? And it's not fair to them. So I just looked for a partner who really knows what they're doing, has experience, and has the infrastructure to be able to protect our lending partners. So I found it. And the way that it's set up is he's been doing in real estate for 27 years. He's been fix and flipping. He actually does 15 to 20 fix and flips a month, but he's also been lending for about 10 years. And so what he does is he'll bring in other people's money to fund a lot of the deals. I mean, he uses 10 million of his own money, but then for the others 17 million in loans that he has out, he brings in capital partners. And what happens is if the borrower were to default after over thousands of loans, I think it's only happened twice. If that were to happen, then he has the ability to and the team to go and pay the lending partner, their principal and the return, and then just add that house to the fix and flip portfolio and end up making more money. And so because the way that he's set up, I really feel comfortable. I don't put anybody at risk. Really, nobody's at risk because he ends up making more money if the borrower defaults. And
Right.
so that is really what drew me to him. And so, yeah, like now I feel comfortable bringing in not only friends and family, but also like people I don't know all that well into these
Right.
opportunities.
I'm hearing a couple of things here that I think are great big picture things. And one of them is that it's good, if you are going to be a passive investor, to work with somebody who is invested themselves, right? Who feels that responsibility in some way. Maybe they're putting money in as well. Maybe they're personal guaranteeing. There's a lot of ways that can look like it, but it can
Mhm.
be a great green flag, let's say, when the person that you're speaking to is invested themselves. And then the second thing is to have a plan B, right? Like your operator can do something else with these houses. They've got a second exit strategy. Those are a couple great things there, right? People who are personally invested, and then you've got a plan B. What else would you recommend if there's passive or wannabe passive investors listening to this call? What should they be looking for as they speak to people like you and to others who are raising capital?
Yeah, so understanding the security, because handing money to someone that you don't know or don't know well can be very scary, and there are ways to protect yourself. But the first thing is, who are you working with? Who's your borrower? I am in the process. I have a borrower who's inexperienced and has run into trouble. So now I'm using my own experience to then find, solutions to help them get the project to the finish line. So knowing who you are working with is extremely important. The next thing is making sure you have all the correct security documents. Do you have a title policy? Are you going to be listed as a lost payee on the hazard insurance? Do you get a deed of trust or a mortgage on the property? Is everything going through a title company? If the person is asking you to send money directly to, like if I ask someone to send money directly to my bank account, like that's a huge red flag. Everything needs to go through title. I mean, and then there's other things like a promissory note that lists how much money that you are putting out, what your return is, how often you're getting paid back, the late fees in there as well. And then the personal guarantee, making sure that it's not always valuable because personal guarantees really are dependent on the person that is backing it. And if the person backing that personal guarantee has no assets, then it's pretty much worthless. Making sure you get that. And assignment of rents, again, another one of those things where it's optional, but making sure that you see all these documents and then they're all backed by an actual piece, an actual property is super important.
Right, right. So the way you have it set up is it somebody can understand, from a passive investing standpoint, they are coming in at that initial purchase and they are on that like lien or deed right there. How do
Yeah.
are you guys like making a new LLC or something with it? Or how do you guys get everybody together for that?
Yeah, so we manage the loan, so we don't touch anybody's money. We'll say, borrowers come to us and say they need X amount of dollars for this house. We'll do our own underwriting twice. So my partner's team will do it, and then my team will do it, and we'll just verify everything, and then we'll present it to a potential investor or lending partner. We'll say, like, these are the numbers. This is what we believe it's worth, or we know it's worth based on our experience. And this is what the loan amount is. Are you interested? Do you want to fund it? And then they will either say yes or no. So they are making the decision. We're not making a decision for anybody. So they make the decision, say yes or no. If they say yes, then we put all the documents together. We send them off to review for the co-lender, and they say, okay, well, I don't like this. This is right. This is incorrect. And then we'll fix it up. If there are any corrections that need to be made, send it back, get final approval. And then once that's done, then everything goes to title. The title company will send wire instructions, and then you'll get a copy of the recorded documents along with that as well. And then you just receive monthly interest-only payments throughout the life of the loan.
Awesome. Thank you. That was a great explanation of the process for somebody who may not know what it looks like at all. And, people always think of the worst case scenario, but I noticed, when you were speaking before, you said for your partner and the operator who's done, let's say thousands of these, right? He's had what, like 2 foreclosures? Is that what you said? Right. And so I'd love for you to, because I'm sure you get this question a lot from potential passive investors. They always worry about the foreclosures, right? They worry about that. So what do you say to someone who's like, well, how do we keep that? What do you say when they say, what about that? What's your response?
Yeah, well, the biggest thing is not your problem. So what will happen is your principal and interest will get paid back because we keep enough liquid so that we can do that, right? So your principal and interest gets paid back, and then now it becomes our problem. We go through the foreclosure process. My partner has been in this industry for 27 years, has a attorney in place. I've actually met him. He's very super knowledgeable and has actually scared me with some of the things that he said, but he knows the process. I mean, what I love about it is the lending partner never has to deal with it because I'm going through a foreclosure right now and it's not an enjoyable experience and it's a lot of money up front, but we're set up so that that's not your problem.
And it's so rare in the first place. And that's, I think, one of the big things is that if you have decent underwriting, there's so many ways that you can save with these kind of value add, flip, short-term things. There's so many things you can do before it comes to that foreclosure place, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's ways that I've, for the one foreclosure that I'm going through, I've offered, payment plans. I've offered, to help out, provide resources, just like I'm doing with this other borrower who's struggling, because their success also means my success. And I mean, we're all in this together. We're all partners. So that's a huge reason why you have to know who you're working with.
Right. If you work with good people and you've got some solid underwriting, the truth is that foreclosure's pretty rare and things you can do to solve it. And like you said, your passive investors don't even have to worry about it. So
Yeah, because
awesome.
I mean, everything's done in one spot versus going nationwide. If you have everything in one spot, you know the rules and regulations, it makes life so much easier.
Yeah, for sure. Now, Don, what I'd love, you've been really said, 2020, so about 5 years ago is when you really decided to go big in real estate investing, move on from managing your dad's portfolio or rentals and do some more. In that 5 year period, what has real estate investing done for you personally? What doors has it opened or how has it changed your life in that?
I mean, it's changed my life in so many different ways because honestly, when I got into real estate, I just thought it was see house, buy house, collect rent. I didn't realize it was going to put me in this like personal growth journey as well. I mean, the money's been nice. I've learned a lot of lessons. I've had to change my relationship with money. Now I'm changing my relationship with work. But the biggest impact it's had on me has been my relationship with my wife and my kids. Growing up, I always thought people that were rich were just not nice, not good family people. But for me, like I realized that all I want to do, like I don't care about working. I don't care about doing all this. I just want to go and spend time with my wife and kids, whether they want to hang out with me or not, but just like be around them and learning how to be more patient and more understanding, which is super weird because real estate is like a business, but then it's turned into how do I become a better family person, a family man?
It just, for a lot of people, it starts with just making some money, and it, like I said, transforms everything, the way you think, and becomes about the why a lot more. Thank you for
Yeah.
that. Well, I know we've talked about a lot here, John, and it's time now for our closing quickfire questions. So first, what is your go-to tool for managing operations?
The biggest thing is Slack. Slack is what we use every single day. I use Zoom to record things for my VA, and then I pass it off to her through Slack, and then we communicate. It's how we all keep track of everything. It's one centralized place because emails get lost very easily.
Yes. And what I love is you said like one centralized place, like whatever tool you use, that is your tool.
Yeah.
Make it so. And then next, what is one piece of advice you would give to your younger self when you were starting out?
Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Don't try to scale and do all these big things. Make sure that you have your systems in place. This is a business and not a hobby. So treat it as a business. I've seen a lot of people grow really fast and then end up failing. I got close, but luckily that hasn't happened. And so yeah, building systems, building the team, and making sure you are organized is like more important than anything if you want to be successful long term.
I love it. Couldn't agree more. And then finally, what is a book that's been transformational in your investing journey?
I think Chop Wood, Carry Water, because I'd never heard of it. I mean, it's not one of the things that gets mentioned a lot, but the biggest takeaway is we all are so focused on the destination that the journey sometimes stresses us out and makes us unhappy. But if you just learn to enjoy the journey, enjoy the struggles of building whatever it is that you want to build, it'll lighten the load and everyone around you will be a lot happier too.
That is a really great, great point. It's really about who we become along the way more than anything else.
Yeah.
So enjoy that journey. Love it. And now, John, if somebody wants to learn more, if they're interested in investing with you or anything like that, what's the best way for them to communicate or reach out to you?
Best way is through Instagram. Yeah, Instagram at JonChanRai. Send me a DM, send me a friend request. Big on sharing education experiences because I want everyone to make money. I don't want anybody to lose money.
Love that. And Instagram's such a great place for that as well. We'll have that in the
Yeah.
show notes. So if listeners, you are driving or anything like that, we'll have it. You can click on it down there. It's pretty easy to Jon Chan REI with a JON. So easy peasy for people. Well, thank you so much, John. And thank you to our listeners. This is another episode of the Freedom Blueprint wrapped up. Now, if you liked this, there's a couple things I'd ask from you. First, make sure to like it and subscribe wherever you're listening. And second, what real estate investor do you know who could benefit from hearing John's wisdom? Please take a minute now, text this over to them so they can listen to it as well. And then I look forward to having you join us again next week for another episode.
Thank you so much.